Many thanks to Clash Vanilla servers, Husk RP, Fatal Attraction Squad, CF Tools Cloud, Sovereign RP server, the Stronger community, the Karma Crew servers, Friendly DayZ podcast, DayZ servers, and DayZ servers hosts for making this video possible. I got to play DayZ Badlands early alongside other creators, and together we saw a ton of new features that nobody has seen before. We're talking underground tunnel networks, barricading, sandstorm mechanics, code lock mechanics, the return of spray paint, Switch 2 gameplay, and more. So I'm going to be showing you all the stuff that you did not know about the upcoming DLC and why Badlands is so much more than a Takistan reskin. Some of the predictions we made about rebuilding are true, but no one could have anticipated that you're able to travel under the freaking ground using rebuildable tunnel networks. Unfortunately though, none of us were able to record our gameplay, so I have to reimagine what we saw while we were playing. Around villages and towns were these mounds with holes on the top, kind of like a giant anthill, that were blocked with some firewood, or what looked like firewood, on the top. Once they were unblocked, you could see down this hole about 10 meters, and at the bottom was a very shallow flowing stream of water. The only way to get down here is by adding 2 rope and 50 short sticks to the hole, which created a rope ladder for you to climb down. Once down here, you were able to drink fresh water and could hide from the sun, but the most interesting part by far is how you could run through the tunnels that have been carved out by this stream, allowing you to travel under villages and towns around the map. So because there were several of these mounds around residential areas, you could drop down a rope ladder over here and then run through the tunnels and then appear over here on the other side, with most locations around the map having these sort of tunnels underneath them. However, each town has its own tunnel network, so you can't travel from one side of the map to the other side of the map using just tunnels. They only connect to several locations in one town or village like this. Each hole will allow you to build a rope ladder from the top or the bottom, so as long as you have the resources to build rope ladders, you cannot get stuck down here. But there are some unanswered questions like how long do these ladders actually stay here, and is it possible to get stuck down here if one of them were to despawn? I also don't know if these are the holes that you build wells in, but based on the 4-stage model that we were shown a long time ago, I doubt that, and I never came across a destroyed version of this well. I didn't see this well here, with the mound of a tunnel network having a different texture to this mound over here. What I do know is that bricks and mortar will be required to rebuild these wells, as mortar was found by a player, and bricks and mortar were also required to rebuild other structures around the map. So while inside some buildings and you open your inventory, multiple items could be slotted into the building, kind of like how you upgrade a fireplace to a stone oven using stones. From memory, this was logs, wooden planks, bricks, mortar, and several others that I can't remember, allowing you to attach up to 100 of each of these to, I guess, rebuild that structure. Now, none of us had time to collect all of these materials though. We only had 2 hours, so we're not entirely sure what rebuilding this would do, but these attachment slots only appeared in the smaller types of structures like these ones here, and with how there are multiple stages to each building, I'm guessing you build it up gradually over time and it uses resources during each stage. It does look like you can rebuild them across various stages, but why you would want to rebuild them is unclear. Does it spawn more loot? Does it provide better protection from the elements? Maybe it can be converted into a base or a barricaded structure. We simply don't know. However, one of these structures had bricks blocking the doorways like this, with a dev afterwards confirming that this building was bugged and it was fully created, perhaps showing the final form of a rebuilt structure, and may mean that we can essentially barricade structures if we upgrade them fully. It was said there are no bunkers on Nestara, but there certainly are underground areas, such as this large palace building here. It has a torture chamber underneath it that is completely pitch black. You need a light to go down there, and highway tunnels are considered underground areas too. This highway is strongly speculated to run from west to east across the south of the map here, and I'm guessing that instead of the highway going around mountains on this route, it goes straight through them with 2 parallel tunnels, one for each side of the highway. It's dark inside these tunnels, and lining the walls are maintenance doors which are confirmed by others to be enterable, leading to staircases and rooms connected to this tunnel structure, a bit like how the Livonia bunker works. Travelling far enough into this structure, one of us was met with several doors that looked similar to Sakau's bunker doors, which also looked like they could be opened but never were during the playtest because we only had 2 hours like I said, perhaps indicating that there is some sort of mission on this map and you need to restore power to get these doors to open like Sakau's bunker, and maybe get high tier loot as a reward most likely. Another person on another part of the map found a highway tunnel including an area where there's a gas zone inside the tunnel, meaning there are more than one of these underground areas across the map, and each one appears to have its own sort of theme tied to it. Maybe the gas zone one provides loot inside the gas zone. You don't need to open doors, you just need NBC gear to get into the gas to find the loot, whereas the other one you required power to open a door to get loot that way, and there are several of these sort of tiny missions that you can do throughout the map, with this one also including doors that led to other parts of the structure. What looks to be a feature of all these underground structures, at least the ones that are on the highway, appears to be a staircase like Livonia's that leads up to the surface, where a bunker-like building allows you to get a view of the surrounding area. To navigate the now confirmed gas zones of Nestara, you will likely need full NBC gear, which I can confirm is spawning on the map, and one of us even found an item that makes carrying around NBC gear a lot easier. So it looks like there's going to be an NBC briefcase in Badlands that allows you to slot NBC clothing into it, so kind of like the scientist briefcase, but instead of universal slots down here, it's just going to have attachment slots for NBC gear, and you can just slot each piece into the briefcase, making NBC gear take up far fewer slots inside your inventory. I'm not sure how useful NBC gear is going to be on this map, as only one gas area has been confirmed so far, but while playing there were reports of no dynamic gas attacks, so it looks like there will be only static gas instead. An item I was able to find is a code lock, so code locks are 100% confirmed. I found it inside a shed, so industrial locations, but even when I added a battery to it I was unable to use it, and its description didn't tell me exactly what it did. Maybe it's used for player built structured gates and you just attach it to the gate, which is most likely, but also it could be used for barricaded structures as a means to lock them, because I'm not sure if you can actually lock them. Maybe this is a new item intended to lock doors of barricaded structures, and it might not be used for base gates at all. What I do know though is how it looks, which is almost exactly as speculated, with the front face here having 1 through 9, but there's a 0 down here between these two blank buttons at the bottom, which probably don't do anything at all. The code lock came as one item, but the model showed that it's zip tied to another item on the rear, which had a key symbol on it, so it looks like a key, along with a small LED screen. We also got confirmation of the Lee Enfield coming with Badlands, as one of us was lucky enough to find a Lee Enfield bayonet, which looked a lot like the SKS bayonet. I don't believe anybody actually found the Lee Enfield, I believe people would have told me that, but we can see that from the latest dev blog, there is also a Lee Enfield here, so it's pretty much confirmed. What someone did find though is the Mosin, but this was a special Mosin. It was the camo Mosin, which means that Badlands is most likely going to reintroduce spray paint to DayZ. Either that or they're just spawning the Mosin in different colours. That could be a possibility, allowing us most likely to spray many weapons and helmets green, black or the camouflage pattern. Toward the end of my 2 hours of playing, night fell across the server and wind picked up rapidly. Before I knew it, I was in the middle of a raging, very loud sandstorm, making darkness even darker to the point where I could only see a few meters in front of me, even with a glow stick in my hand. The sandstorm did not remove health from my character, and it didn't make me bleed either, even when I took all of my clothes off to test this. However, when I took my motorbike helmet off, my character started coughing like I was inside a gas zone, without the bleed or the bloody hands. The server shut down a few moments later as the playtest ended, but I'm guessing you will get some form of disease as you inhale this dust. My character was not happy about this. They were coughing constantly while I took that motorbike helmet off, and with how you can barely see inside them, even with ski goggles, it could be that these are very dangerous because they're going to be very difficult to find the direction you need to go to get out of one, so you could end up dying as a result of these sandstorms. These sandstorms are confirmed to be localized because while I was in a sandstorm, the person sat next to me was not inside one, and somebody else said that they saw a sandstorm during the day traveling across the map like a giant cloud of low altitude dust or something. So there are sandstorms, they are localized, and they are potentially deadly. When not in a sandstorm, when it's daytime, the sun appears to directly increase our character's temperature quite a lot. Shade under trees, structures and underground tunnels are going to protect you. I was constantly yellow temperature while I was running around in the sun, which drains your water much faster if you didn't know. You can find rare lakes and ponds to get water and cool down. I never saw one, but there are some on the map. And these fountains here, they don't have any water, as confirmed when I found this exact location during the playtest. So there's no easy way to get water unless you find a tunnel network, which are fairly common I must say, but the rope and the sticks are going to be what's difficult to get down to the water in the first place. Water containers like the cooking pot and the bottle saved me from dying of dehydration, which is the biggest threat on this map after obviously players, and the map's lack of cover makes you always feel exposed much more than any other map I've played. The lack of trees is really concerning here, and while the villages and towns are dense enough to be considered concrete jungles, there is always like 5 different angles that you cannot cover where somebody could shoot you from, so that feeling of constantly maybe being shot any moment is very intense on Astara. The biggest threat after players and dehydration looks to be dogs, which are aggressive towards players. This is a new animal and they come armoured with what looks like a vest attachment, probably meaning that they're harder to kill as a result. Several players were attacked by dogs, but because I didn't see one myself, I can't confirm their species or how they behave. I assume they're going to be Rottweilers, as what we found in the game code relates to Rottweilers, and I'm also guessing they're going to have the same animations as wolves. This might not be the case though, as infected have new attack animations in Badlands, but I believe all other aspects of infected, other than how they look obviously, is the same as 1.29. As for vehicles, the 2 motorbikes were found and driven around by the content creators that were there, with the off-road bike having insane acceleration of 0 to 80 in about 2 to 3 seconds, so it's certainly going to be the fastest accelerating vehicle in the game. You only need a spark plug and fuel to get one working, and it's confirmed that if you do crash one, you will come off of the bike and go unconscious. Before this 2-hour Badlands LAN party, we also got a look at this Switch 2 version of DayZ very briefly, so it is working on the Switch 2 right now, and we were quite impressed with the performance of this little device. In terms of graphics, it looks very similar to the PS4 version of DayZ in terms of how the objects look and how far away you can see, but the frame rate was certainly better, and the mouse controls allows full mouse controls. It's not just micro adjustments, it's as if you're playing the game on a PC. As for my opinion of Badlands, it greatly exceeded my expectations, but my bar was quite low. I was expecting a buggy, crashy, interruption everywhere mess of a game, but it wasn't. As soon as I started the game, it crashed, but after that it was really smooth, and immediately I had to lock in because I had to make difficult choices. It was peak DayZ for me. The 2 hours I spent playing the game felt like 30 minutes. It was pretty good actually, and it was about as difficult to survive on as Sakau in terms of the heat, lack of water and reduced storage space, because you're wearing worst insulation gear. There's not many slots to have and you have to make difficult choices about what you're going to take with you, but as long as you have enough water, you can just keep on running from town to town. You don't have to stay 10 minutes next to a fireplace like Sakau. If you haven't wishlisted it yet, I would highly recommend doing so. It gives the devs a better idea of how many servers they need to have at launch, and you get notifications of when a sale goes on if you are going to wait for it to be 50% off or something. A huge thanks to other creators who took part in the playtest. This video would literally be impossible without them sharing the information that they discovered during their playtest. I couldn't watch everybody, I was so focused on my game. And a big thanks of course to the DayZ dev team for allowing us to play Badlands months before release. They are certainly confident in their product to let us do that and then let us speak freely about our opinions. They certainly do care about your opinion too. They do come to this channel to read your comments, to get feedback on certain features. They did tell me that while I was there. Are you excited or do you have concerns about certain features here? Thank you very much for watching and have a good day.